Okay, I'm about to eat Korean raw fish.
Fish.
Wait, hang on. Let me start from the beginning. I thought sushi and sashimi were mostly a Japanese thing, that it was a dish unique to here. But recently I found out that right next door is another country that has its own version of sushi and sashimi. And I don't really hear people talking about it. So, I want to dive into what Korea does with raw fish, how it's unique, and the history behind it. And in order to do that, I went to Korea. I'm in Busan. I came here because, well, it's my favorite city in Korea, but also it's a coastal city, so it's the perfect place for me to talk about Korean sushi and sashimi. We're here in Gamcheon Cultural Village. This place strangely feels like a mix between Italy, Morocco, and Mexico. It is also a lot bigger than I expected. But before we continue, I want to make it clear that sushi and sashimi aren't the same thing. They're similar, but different dishes. Sushi comes with a rice called sumeshi, and it doesn't have to be raw fish. Anything can go with it. It can be cooked meat, eggs. I've seen corn on sushi. It looks so gross. Film me eating.
Do you like corn?
No, I hate it.
Give us a review.
Out of 5, how do you rate it?
A 1, that's the worst thing to put on sushi. Awful. Why did they do this? Sashimi, on the other hand, is the cut of raw fish itself, and comes as is. I think a lot of people mistake sashimi and sushi as the same thing, or maybe I was just dumb. But quick distinction, sushi comes with rice, sashimi does not. So, now that we know the difference between sushi and sashimi, let's talk about the Korean equivalents, hue and gimbap. Gimbap has actually become kind of popular recently, so I won't go into too much detail about what it is, but the main difference from sushi is that instead of raw fish, it mainly just comes with beef or other vegetables. Also, gimbap is kind of more of a snack or a side dish, so usually it's very easy to find it as street food in markets like this. Gimbap 하나 주세요.
먹고 갈까?
감사합니다. It's really good. Yeah, it's like warm. I didn't expect it to be warm. Right now, there's actually a discourse on where gimbap comes from, with two versions of the story. A Korean one and a Japanese one. I'm gonna skim through both because I quickly want to get to hue, which I think is more unique and unknown. So I'm gonna start with the Japanese version first because it's more controversial. Basically, the Japanese claim that gimbap didn't emerge until the 20th century when Japan occupied Korea. Japan says that when they controlled Korea for around 35 years, the Koreans liked sushi so much that they found ways to make their own version. Yeah. There is one piece of evidence being used to support this. The first ever record of the word kimbap was from a Korean newspaper in 1935, well into Japan's occupation of Korea. But the caveat is that the term kimbap and norimaki, a Japanese subcategory of sushi, were being used interchangeably because the Korean language was banned during Japan's occupation. So make of that what you will. The Korean version of the story is a bit more vague. Korea says that they've had some variant of kimbap since the Joseon period, around the 15th century, likely something similar to another Korean dish, sam. Sorry, my Korean is terrible. Simply put, Korea says that kimbap is a dish that has developed over the centuries like any other. Now, I just want to say that I'm not a food historian, and I don't want to pretend that I am. I just want to tell interesting stories about food, and I have no beef in this game. To be honest, I think finding a clear answer to the origins of any dish is going to be opaque at best. I think that's going to be something that will be more apparent down the road for this channel. Hopefully. Alright, but anyways, on a lighter note, let's get back to Korea. By the way, while I'm using hui as a term to describe Korean raw fish, it can actually mean any raw dish. There is a specific word for raw fish in Korea, but I'm not going to try to pronounce it. Hey guys, I just want to interject here for a second. I'm at Haedong Yeonggunsa, which is this really beautiful Buddhist temple right by the water. It's really unique and I thought might as well just check it out while I'm here, right? Now, I was pretty curious if hui was at all any different from sashimi, and as it turns out, there's quite a few differences, but I've narrowed it down to 3 big ones. And the first one is species. Japan is an island with easy access to the Pacific Ocean, which houses a ton of migratory paths for fish like tuna, salmon, and yellowtail. And by the way, these are the most popular fishes for sashimi. These guys are huge and can only really survive in the wild, so they often immediately die in captivity. The Japanese have to preserve them with ice in order to ship them back and across the country. On the other hand, Korea is a much smaller country, blocked from the Pacific Ocean by Japan. They only really have access to the Sea of Japan and the Yellow Sea, which forces them to catch smaller and more local fish like snappers and flounder, fish that can live much longer in captivity. Which means Korean fishermen can actually take these fish back to the coast alive. And that brings us to the second difference, preparation. Remember, Japan can't bring tuna and salmon to the coast alive, so their definition of fresh is if the fish can be kept in good condition with ice. But because of this, sushi can actually reach places in Japan far from the coast, and is the reason why it's all over the world today, even in super dry places like Mexico City. But in Korea, the circumstances were different, because they were able to bring their smaller local fish to the coast alive. What fresh means here is completely different. Hui has to be served immediately after the fish is, well, retired. And shipping living fish inland is expensive, at least more so than dead fish. Which is probably why you don't hear about hui that much in comparison. Because in order for hui to be at its best, it needs to be served in Korean coastal towns. But the difference you're probably wondering about is, does hui taste differently from sashimi? Well, let's find out. Okay, I'm about to eat Korean raw fish.
Fish. Soup. You want some soup?
Hungry. Let's check this out. It's really chewy. There's a lot, it's interesting. It's not really what I expected. The soy sauce also makes it sweeter too. It's good, it's not like sashimi at all. It's got like a interesting texture. Like you can definitely tell that the fish was just alive. It's good. So I'm not the most talented at giving reviews on the spot. But the main thing I noticed is that while Japanese sashimi is focused on being this fatty, melt-in-your-mouth cut of fish, Korean hui is more about having a chewy consistency, so you can focus on the flavors for longer. Honestly, it ended up being a lot more different than I expected, making me feel kinda guilty for constantly comparing it to sashimi. I think it's because for centuries, Korea was forced to be in the shadows of its larger neighbors, both in territory and culture. But I think the tides are turning for Korea. In the past few years, Korean music, film, and cuisine are taking over the world like never before. People like myself are beginning to see this country for the amazingly unique place it is. A place full of opportunities to make memories and eat amazing food. And since this is a dish you can only get in Korea, what makes it more unique than that? Hey guys, it's me, after a very much needed haircut. I want to say thanks for making it to this point because this is the very first video on this channel. And if you skipped ahead, well, you can just play it on the background. I don't really care, it just helps. I made this channel because I had a lot of questions about food. Why do we eat and see it the way that we do? And I've already started working on future videos, touching on what I think are some really interesting topics. So if you want to learn more about food alongside with me, then please subscribe, because the more this channel grows, the more I can keep making these videos, and I have a lot of ideas for future large-scale projects that I can't do right now. But with your help, hopefully, I can get to that point. Honestly, I'm not very good at the YouTube talk, so I think I should just end it there.